Data vault. Data vault is very complicated. Ops, satellite, connect. I won't dive into that. And there's this new guy called activity schema. He got introduced in 2020 thereabout. There's not so much books there, and you have one big table, which I think DBT made popular. Now this is where I'm going. All of this modeling landscape have their pros and their cons. Kimball is very good for all things BI related, revenue, traditional reporting. Ralph Kimball is so solid. But if you want to model anything like customer behavior, you want to model anything like touch points, which email do people click on before they purchase our product? Trust me, you will struggle with Ralph Kimball. I've modeled data. Will you model it? Can you model it with Ralph Kimball? Yes. I've modeled, all you just need to do, let's say you want to answer the question, which email do people click before they purchase? What do you need? You need email data, right? And you need sales data, maybe from Shopify. Then you click on each of the email, you go and Shopify ID, and you get the sales. But that's a lot of bottleneck, and it's so fragile. Because if you build that, and the business come back and say, oh, what are the 3 emails that they clicked on before they purchase? You are ruined. You have to go back again and model. So that means, as amazing as bottleneck, or if you want to model event data at all, Kimball is not a robust modeling framework. So which means, next slide, the future of modeling belongs to what Joe calls mixed model earth. And what's mixed model earth? It means that if you really want to be solid as a data professional, as a data analyst, as a data engineer who will be building upstream, you can't afford to constrain yourself to just one data model and say, oh, anything I need to model is star schema. Trust me, you will get some data set and you'll be confused. And like I said, in the last 6 years, I think I've modeled across different industries, and I've seen pattern. I can tell you there are instances where Ralph Kimball would disappoint you. You will struggle, right? And that's the beauty of it. So the same example I gave earlier with you want to see how many emails, which email people click. Now, activity schema would do it so seamlessly because what are you doing? You are getting a bit of all in and developing yourself now. Expose yourself to the different paradigms so that you better learn how to determine, when I have a business use case, which modeling framework would apply? If I have a different framework, each modeling use case will apply. So next slide now. Let's now get into the nitty-gritty in, I think, after a moment. So what is data modeling actually? So there is a framework for actually modeling. Like I said, this is more or less like a philosophical approach, which I use in my current role, such that I don't think there's no data model I can model. I say that with so much confidence, as long as I know this framework. Like, I don't want to know how complex it is. The most complex data model, I think, is health data. Even if you go and read Ralph Kimball, is the topic they talk about in the last chapter, chapter 3, because there's nothing complex there. So what does the framework look like? It starts from something called conceptual. And what does conceptual framework is? It says that always start from understanding the business. And many times, technical people just want to get into the code. We don't want to pay attention to actually learn the business. Ask the stakeholder, what question are you trying to answer? That's not a time to start saying, which table are you checking? No, this is a time to pay attention. The time to engage and ask important questions. What metrics matter to you? What are the challenges you are facing day-to-day basis? How do you get your reports? They'll tell you, I have to go on Salesforce. I click on this, on Shopify. I download this report. So they will give you all of those workflow. And what will that do for you in the conceptual layer? It gives you a mental framework to say, okay, fine, I need to understand how they interact and how they interpret that. Right? Then the second layer is called the logical, right? Then the second layer is called the logical framework of the problem you want to solve. The next thing to ask yourself is, what type of facts do I even need? Like, what will be the grain of the table that will support? Now, those I've not even gotten into writing the code at all. These are all still mental framework that you are thinking through. If you want to ask a question on sales, what kind of grain do I need? If I have a grain of 1 record per order, what then happens when the user say, which product has the highest revenue? I've lost that. That means I don't have the line item. I have to go back again and update. So based on the question that the user wants to ask, which you've understood from the conceptual framework, the logical is now where you start asking the question, what is the grain, what is the dimension? Once you are clear with this, the last thing is then, how do I model the table? And this is where the actual technical stuff comes in. Start saying, okay, fine, I need to model it as incremental. I need to do a full refresh. I need to do all of that. And that's where technicality is. So next slide, let's just do a simple example now. So we'll solve a problem in the next 5 minutes so that you get into that mode of what an actual data modeling is. Now, let's assume you have a business that wants to answer a question of how many units of each product do we have on hand at each store? So this is an inventory, classic inventory management. That's the question they want to answer. That means the company has multiple stores, different products, and they want to know product. Every day, how many units do we have? That's the question. And they also probably want to know which products are selling faster than we are restocking. They want to know to ensure that they will never run out of stock when demand comes. So the next question is, when you ask the stakeholder, how do you model, what are the things that make sense to you? How do you do this on a day-to-day basis? They will tell you, oh, we make other purchase, right? And then we have products across different category, across different store. Like that's a classic overview of the conceptual data framework. Next slide. So next slide. So that means if you account that simple question, don't forget the question you want to solve. How many products do we have in store at hand, right? And also to count whether we have more demand, more stock available than demand. That's basic, which is easy. Oh, you know you want to do a bit of daily inventory count. Or you have products across different category. You have stores across different regions. So if I will ask you, now that's the conceptual.